Philip Wegmann, I do want to also switch gears a little bit. The markets were rejoicing over this. Again, it might be, as I said, a quick snapshot reaction that might be proven wrong. But I think they were also jumping for potential joy here that a China deal could be scored sooner rather than later. Factor that in, the deals that are coming together, certainly with Japan, the USMCA that waits for congressional approval and waits and waits and waits. But the backdrop of all these deals that could be coming together.
Well, the White House is certainly frustrated with the fact that their new USMCA has not been moved in the in Congress right now. You know, this is a source of constant frustration.
Does this make it more difficult in this impeachment environment?
It absolutely does,
yeah.
Especially when it comes to a moment where, you know, Democrats are going to be focused on getting him out of the White House early, not on giving him a legislative landmark deal. It makes it very difficult. To the China news, though, we've heard rumblings about a deal, you know, for some time. If Trump can close a deal, though, before election and keep the economy hot, well, that plays right into the Trump campaign's playbook, because their argument is very simple going into 2020, which is your life better now than it was before? You know, check yes or no. And that's what they hope will get him a second term.
And by the way, on the trade situation, Ambassador Lighthizer, doing his best dad reaction to this, said when asked about the likelihood of a trade deal, we'll see. How many times did we say, we'll see? What do you think?
I use that a lot.
You do?
When, you know, fun stuff is suggested, but maybe not necessarily time or money for it. It's a good answer, but I think what you hope, if they're digging in for a long, possibly unproductive negotiation with China, is that we get more peace on other fronts. So I think that was nice to see the president saying he's wrapping up the trade deal with Japan. Let's hope that's concluded, and I think that's what businesses need to goose investment, because you've seen that reluctance among corporate executives to invest with all this trade fighting going on. If it's just limited to China, I think that's more tolerable.
All right. There is some other news being broken here. The bond fund manager, he's called the new bond king, Jeffrey Gunn, is on the wires right now, reacting to this whole impeachment push. He was talking to FoxBusiness.com. Take a listen.
I think this is more theatrics than anything else, though, and I don't think it's really a major market issue. I think that when it comes to politics, the outcome of the 2020 election is far more important.
DeRoy is echoing everything you just said. That this is not the issue that would derail it. There might be others, but this isn't it. What do you think?
It seems that way. I mean, the Dow was down 24 hours ago, pushing 200. I think it's up 150 or so about now, right. More or less. So at least based on what we've seen today, I think the market is shrugging, saying, okay, maybe not this scandal, maybe the next one.
How does this all sort of backdrop for the economic environment for you? I mean, you have to look at that. You have to look at earnings. You have to look at everything that's going on.
Yes.
There are a lot of people look at this and say, well, no matter what you think of the politics, it's been a long bull market run. It's a record bull market run. We haven't just sort of repealed the economic cycle. And for a lot of people, this is an opportunity to collect your profits and go. What do you think? And then October does that.
Well, yes, we've had a very long run bull market. Over the course of the last 6 or 7 weeks or so, the market has been slowing down, losing a little bit of that momentum as the trade war.
It's still up a lot this year.
It is, exactly.
Yeah.
It's still up a lot. I'm still relatively bullish on the market. I have been moving a little bit more into value areas of the market, just with the ongoing kind of political discord. But overall, I'm viewing the stock market as strong. I'm viewing the economy as strong. And while the trade war has impacted different areas of the market, particularly earnings, in sectors, for example, industrials that have been impacted by steel tariffs, the majority of the market has still remained strong.
You know, I don't know if this is typical of a lot of people who look at the Trump situation and the comments, Philip Wegmann, and say, all right, this doesn't really surprise me, or that he could use some strong-arming language, and Democrats go even further than that. But this environment that he's produced trumps, no pun intended, all of that stuff, and that will be what keeps him in office. If I had a dime every time I heard that, I'd have several dimes. What do you make of that?
Well, certainly the market environment is one that favors the incumbent at this point. But
even with all this stuff, right?
Even with all of this stuff, we've seen that Republicans are continuing to stick with Trump here. It is concerning for Republicans that you see that he is losing to each of the Democratic top-tier candidates right now in a theoretical head-to-head matchup. But what I think that was most interesting to me when I read the transcript is that this is Donald Trump, who accused the FBI of tapping his phones during the campaign, and there was something to that surveillance, and yet all of these years later, he hasn't moderated. He remains the same person that he was in 2016, and that's the person who beat Hillary Clinton. Whether or not this is the person who can beat the next Democratic champion, well, we don't know, but one thing that we do know is that Trump still very much is Trump.
There is that, right?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be largely about the economy. And I'm actually a huge long-term bull on the U.S. if these trade fights get resolved. I think that's the big issue more than any of this.
Yeah, even Lighthouse on the wire is saying he's
impeachment.
confident USMCA will come up for a vote because it would be a catastrophe for our economy if it did not. Which is not exactly a Fox alert, but there you go.
And to make the small political point, if you are in a swing district or a Trump district and you're a Democrat member of Congress who won in 2018, and the next year is all about impeachment and no trade deal, I think you are going to have a tough time running next November.
Very interesting read. Guys, I want to thank you all. Terrific job. A bunch of brainiacs here.